Welcome to the Fans of Fitness podcast, a voice for fitness, health, and wellness professionals. Good to see you again, Kyle.
Good to see you, Travis.
It's been a little while.
All right.
It's been a minute, yeah.
I haven't seen you since when? Since you graduated or shortly after?
Shortly after. We went shooting.
Oh, that's right.
We went to the range,
We did do that.
Yep.
We certainly did. Well, how have things been since you graduated?
Been good. Established a spot at Glory Gains, so just slowly but surely taking on more clientele, and love what I do because changing lives is the name of the game.
Yeah.
So I'm just really passionate about it, and it's going great. So,
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen you on Instagram quite a bit playing guitar. I didn't know you had that skill.
Yeah. So I guess it's a fun hobby to do. I like to, stand out in my videos and incorporate unique skills that I have. So, yeah, I started playing when I was 12. That was my main passion. Of course, I grew out of it slowly. I didn't lose the skill, fortunate for me, but grew out of it, got really inspired and into fitness and nutrition. Of course, went to MPTI, but I still like to keep my hobbies in my business, if that makes sense. So I like to incorporate fun and unique styles to it. So
yeah, that's different. The first time I saw one of those clips a couple weeks ago, I was like, that is really, really cool.
Yeah,
thank you. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I was
Appreciate
like, that's a good way to stand out. So you started at 12. What were your inspirations? Like, what was your music taste back at 12 years old? What were you playing?
What I was playing was generally like 80s rock. What actually got me into guitar was the movie School of Rock with Jack Black. I'm sure you're familiar with that.
That was a good one.
Yeah, I got inspired by that. I mean, obviously they're kids playing guitar, playing instruments. I'm like, I don't know what was in my head, my 12-year-old mind at that point, but I'm like, damn, I want to do that really bad. So took lessons for a couple years, and then now I'm self-taught, so I just go on like YouTube to learn songs. But at the time, I did lessons for like 3 or 4 years to build the skill, and I was really into it. I was like, I'm all in. I want to do this. So.
I think everybody has that dream at some point.
Man, I did too.
I'm going to be a rock star.
I did too. It was later in life.
Yeah.
My story is a little bit different. I bought 5 guitars so far in my life.
That's awesome.
All from a pawn store or a pawn shop. I think except for one. But I was like, man, I want to play music. I love music, right? So I'm like, I want to be able to play it. So I bought a guitar. I took it home, and I bought a tab book. Tablature.
Yep.
I'm like, all right,
read the music.
I'm going to learn. I'm going to be awesome. And I wasn't. I was awful. I think I lasted a month and a half, and I had blisters all over my fingers.
Oh, yeah. The calluses. They build up.
Yeah. And I was still terrible. I ended up selling it.
Yeah.
To the same pawn shop I bought it from. And then 8, 9, 10 months later, I'm like, I want to try it again. Mm-hmm. This time I'm going to take it serious. I'm going to get it, buy another guitar.
Yeah.
Take it home. I still had some tablature books that I had from my first attempt.
And did you learn?
Nah, man, I could play like 5 seconds of a song.
Hey, that's better than nothing, though. But then, seriously.
Yeah, I know.
Still impressive.
But the thing that I was doing wrong was I should have got help. I should have gone to a professional to get those lessons. That's where you're going to learn. It's like with anything, like golf.
Right.
You can self-teach yourself, but you're not going to get as far as you would if you had somebody who knew how to look at your movement and go, hey, I can make this better. This is what you need to do. These are your mobility limitations. Let's work on those and all that. It's the same thing as learning guitar. I could only go as far as I was able, which is the tab. It shows you where to put your finger, and then you strum it. You're like, okay, that's the next note. Yeah. It would take me like 10 hours to learn 10 seconds of a song.
So my mom and my stepdad were in a Christian rock band.
Oh, that's cool.
And they played in churches and all this stuff. So when I was 5 years old, my mom bought me a Fender acoustic guitar.
Nice.
And I still have it now.
That's
and
crazy.
It looks like hell. It's been through a lot.
Yeah.
But I played younger when I was, 9, 10, 11, something like that. I took lessons from the guy that taught Alan Jackson how to play guitar.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And he was a great teacher at first, but then he got more into the money of it.
Mm-hmm.
And he became worse and worse. But then I took lessons from a guy named Roland Gresham when I was in college that used to play with Jimi Hendrix.
Oh,
so that was really cool. And he passed away like 10 years ago. But his son is also named Roland Gresham.
Yeah.
And he plays in church. He plays like jazz in church.
Right.
And then I just stopped playing for 20 years, and now the guitar just collects dust. But I've bought and sold a bunch of guitars over the years, but I've always kept that acoustic, Fender acoustic.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you got to. That's a nice guitar. The Fenders, yeah, those are really nice.
Like an 81 Fender.
Well, you're related to somebody who's quite the musician, aren't you?
Yes.
Who is that?
John Rich from Big and Rich.
I think I'm probably too young or something. I don't know.
Nah,
I don't know who
You
that
don't like
is.
country?
It's country music.
Not a big fan of country, honestly.
but they've been playing.
not
for
a country
quite,
hater, but
They've been
not a
playing
big
for quite
fan.
a bit of year. You've heard "Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy."
yeah, I've heard of that.
That's Big
Yeah.
Big and Rich.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
That's pretty crazy though.
yeah, his mom and my dad are first cousins. So
Yeah.
Wow. But to answer your question, going back to what songs that I liked to play when I was 12, I was heavily influenced by like 80s music from my parents. 'Cause that's when they grew up and they were listening to all these 80s music like AC/DC, just some of the classics. I mean, my favorite band's AC/DC. I think they got like the best riffs in my opinion.
Yeah.
But yeah, just old school 80s, 70s, which is not normal for a 12-year-old kid born in 2003. So,
No, it's not. No.
but yeah, that was what I played when I first started.
Yeah.
I think the first ever song I learned was "Smoke on the Water" by
Oh,
Deep
yeah.
Purple.
there's so many people
Yeah.
that learn that.
That's
That's the first one.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
everybody's first one. I swear.
I think that's the next one that's going to be blocked from being played in music stores.
Yeah.
You know, like Stairway to Heaven. Yeah,
right.
Stairway
And
to Heaven.
"Sweet Child of Mine." Yeah,
That was one song I tried to master. At least the beginning of it. It's so hard.
it is
I got
hard.
close, but I would mess it up at some point in that 10, 15 second,
Yeah,
beginning of that song.
yeah. Axl Rose was the main intention was to have it as a guitar exercise because it uses all the fingers. It's a tough riff.
Oh,
But,
yeah.
Yeah, it was. He originally did it for like a guitar exercise, and it just came into like an iconic riff, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah,
And then
it is.
probably never played it again because Slash played it all.
Yeah.
He's got to be tired of playing that
Yeah.
song.
Oh,
Oh,
Slash.
man.
Why did I say Axl Rose? He's a singer. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a cool clip. It was Back in Black that I saw you do on there.
Yeah.
So since you graduated
hmm
and you're in the personal training business now, is there anything different that you see that's different than what you thought it was going to be when you graduated?
I mean, I'd say yes. I mean, at first, everybody thinks as soon as you're going to graduate, you're going to get all these clients right away.
Right.
You got to establish trust. You know what I mean? You got to get the trust and credibility. You got to
Right.
build that credibility so people know and trust you and like you and want to use your services. Because I mean, it is a tough industry because there are a lot of personal trainers.
There
so
are a lot.
It's just standing out and
So how did
finding
you
your
how did
market.
you gain that trust? How did you build that credibility?
one by getting the certifications, obviously through MPTI, getting all the credible sources of information from NASM and from you guys. So just getting the certifications is one. So being a qualified trainer is good, but being certified as well is even better, having both those qualities. So, and then I'd say,
Did you do it through like social media or just word of mouth and being at the gym and being like, hey, I can train you,
Yeah.
and them seeing you work out? I mean,
so word of mouth is definitely the biggest one. Is just
Right.
getting your friends and family involved. Getting the people that especially friends that you know that you can help,
right.
and they trust you already. So just to be able to bring them in and show them what you can help them with.
So you had to
and
give
help
them some
achieve their
free
goals.
sessions to get your
Yeah,
friends in there and give them
100%.
some free
Yeah.
sessions.
Yeah, and that's what I always do. I always offer a complimentary assessment and session your first time. I think every trainer should do that, just so the client knows if you're the right fit for them. They get to see the gym. They get to see how you train. So I think that's really important that they get that first session totally complimentary. That way they get to see everything, see
So-
what the process is like.
So you're at Glory Gains now, right?
Yep.
Where
Glory
did you
Gains.
start kind of your business out of? What was the first place you started?
So to be honest, I started at Glory Gains as my first real gym, but
Okay.
I, went to apartments. I just did anything I really could
Right.
to get clients. And I'm still kind of doing that. I mean, I'm obviously want to be established at Glory Gains long
Right.
term, be there as my second home. But so at first just going out, getting as many people as I can and training them at their apartments or just whatever gym's available. So
Right.
just getting the ball moving.
Yeah, that's smart. Yeah, like you said, you're not just going to. It doesn't matter if you're taking like an online cert or if you go through, the National Personal Training Institute of Arizona. you're still going to have to find clients. They're not just going to come to you. So you
Right.
got to get out there. And like you said, just offering those sessions and, giving them a taste test of what your knowledge is and what your personality is. Because it's not always about what you know. It's also, are we a good connection?
Right.
So that's where good communication skills come in. That's where, your confidence is going to shine. If you know what you're talking about, then people are
Right.
going to see that and they're going to want to work with you. Otherwise, the other problem would be if you just have a certification, like you just read a book, took a
Right.
test.
Sure.
I don't think it's going to make you confident. You're
Right.
gonna
No,
need, you
most
need to go
likely
out
no.
and get your feet wet, get a job at a commercial box gym, just so you can get used to those reps and learning how to communicate effectively and
Right.
and becoming confident in your craft. So I think it's smart what you're doing. Now you do offer a couple things, like you offer one-on-one, semi-private training, but you're also one of our students that excelled with P&F stretching. So I know you offer that in your
Yeah.
services. So how's that been going?
So it's going great. And the good thing about P&F stretch therapy is it really does complement the personal training. So I'm all about mobility and recovery. So you can train as hard as you want, but if you're not recovering, you're not going to be able to maximize your next day at the gym to achieve your goals. So I totally preach P&F stretch therapy. You get more mobility, flexibility. Your range of motion just increases drastically. Your squats are better. You just move better and feel better.
Yeah.
So long term, it's crucial. As far as the P&F stretch therapy, I've done mobile. So basically, I got my own table. I can bring it anywhere, the client's home or office, and just perform the stretch therapy wherever it's convenient for them. So
Does
Just doing
Glory
that.
Gains have tables there that you can use and do it there? Or?
yeah, so they got one table. I don't know if that's just a community table or what, but if you're gonna do like massage therapy, or if you're a physical therapist, or what I do, the P&F stretch therapy, you want to bring your own table. And I got my own table, so
Yeah.
they allow you to set it up.
That's cool.
There's a big turf area where you can do like sled pushes and core and like group sessions there, and then also in the back of the turf area, that's where you set up the tables and do the
Yeah.
therapy.
Kind of like at the gym, they have that one table that's always there.
Always there. Doesn't
that
move.
that guy
Yeah.
has.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it's like.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
So you're going up onto your first year anniversary of being a personal trainer. Is that exciting?
Yeah.
I like to think about, man, I've been doing it for a year.
It's crazy to think. It really
Yeah.
is. It feels like yesterday that we're in the class,
Yeah.
learning everything. And yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
What would you say the learning experience was like at school? Was it too much? Was it just
No.
enough?
No, I think it's perfect.
You're able to absorb all that? Because it was a lot in 11 weeks.
Yeah. It is a lot in 11 weeks, but the difference between just getting a certification through a book versus going through MBTI and having legit instructors teaching you in person is the fact that you can literally, what you learn in the book is translated onto the floor at like the gym where
Right.
we did the MBTI at. And you get so whatever's in the book, like a bench press or whatever, once you master the proper form, you can't feel that in the book, but we actually go through the motions, and that's what is unique and the best thing about MBTI, in my opinion, is being able to go on the floor, do what we learn in the classroom, and apply it to what we're actually going to do in the personal training field.
Yeah. Could have
Yeah.
said better myself.
I always go back to the planes of motion. Some of the other stuff I might be able to get from a book, but I think for me the biggest one was planes of motion. When I looked at that, even when I look at it now after Travis explained it, I look at the book and go, man, if I'd have had to learn that from the book, I'd have been screwed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
But yeah,
aren't the books pretty outdated too at this point? Like, it's just, I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know about outdated,
Yeah.
but it's just, I think it's difficult to learn certain things like
I would
planes,
agree.
of,
For sure.
planes of motion.
Yeah.
Just looking at illustration, the panes of glass are going through the midsection
Right.
and then, splitting the body from upper and lower, which would
Yeah.
be transverse plane. It's really difficult to look at an illustration and even the definition of it. For me,
Right.
when I went through this school 14 years ago, it took me a full week and a half to understand, all the movements and what plane of motion or movement it's in. So my instructor explained it the same way I do in class the first week when we go over that, and it made complete sense after he did
Right.
that. But before, I'm like, I don't know. I don't get what
Yeah.
that division in the body even represents.
Yeah.
Right.
So using the wall for, frontal plane and sagittal, that works super well. And then transverse, you can't really use a wall for that.
It's a little bit more difficult to understand,
Yeah.
but you get the first two like right away, and you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But then transverse is kind of like, oh, well, that's
Right.
that's the rest
Crossing
of
all
them.
planes. It's going through those glass panels. Yeah.
And it's so important to know what the planes of motion are, the three, because I think a lot of trainers just use the first one, the main one, sagittal plane.
Right.
Right.
And that's, 90-95% of their program for their clients or themselves. Until you understand we move in three different directions.
Yeah.
That's, when you write a program for somebody, you have to address all three to keep
For
them,
sure.
balanced. Because how often do we shuffle side to side? Hardly ever.
Yeah, that's
You know.
and that's what I was going to say about the frontal is the next one that is the main one that I don't think most people program for.
Right.
Because transverse is kind of basic. I mean, you're doing a push up, it's transverse. Bench press, those are normal normal exercises that most trainers have people do. But frontal is the one that I never did working out before I went through school.
Yeah.
Because I never did side steps. I never, maybe jumping jacks or something like that.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I never did frontal, and I had no idea that I needed to.
Right. Yeah.
So, but like you said, going through, with the hands-on, knowing how to activate the muscle, and if you're reading that from a book and you're like, well, how do I activate my shoulders? What the hell is it even talking about?
Exactly.
But with the hands-on,
Mhm.
somebody going,
Mhm.
this is what you need to do, then it's so much better hands-on.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then you get to do the movement yourself. So then
Right.
once you do the movement, the instructors will tell you if you're doing it wrong. Obviously, you don't want to be taught the wrong thing. So once they put you in alignment with the proper movement, then you really get to feel it yourself. And then you're like, wow, this is what it should feel like. Then that way you can point out to your clients, like, this is what you should look for when you're feeling it. So
Absolutely. And that's the thing. That's one of, as a coach myself, I wanted to educate my clients. I don't want them to just say, hey, do this or do that, push this weight or pull this weight or whatever. I wanted to make sure that I was teaching them and educating them how to do it properly going forward, because you're not going to keep your clients forever.
right.
I want them, when they decide that they're good on their own, or I decide, I'm like, hey, look, I've taught you everything I know. So
Right.
I want them to be able to understand these movements and how to do them correctly, and maybe teach their friends, teach your kids proper movements. So I think that's where anatomy shines, in class, because if you don't know anatomy, I don't know how you know how to target anything,
Right.
because there's so many different ways to hit muscles, isolate them, or
Totally.
emphasize other muscles or assisting or synergist muscles. There's a lot to the body. It's not just,
It's complex.
it really is.
And I wish more of that was taught in elementary school.
Oh, me too.
I
Like
would
in,
agree.
they're getting
100%.
away from physical activity so much
Crazy.
in school, but that should be taught in middle school and even high school. I had gym, but we never talked about how to move and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
that's what we're talking about with Sky is you don't learn how to run. You don't learn how to, pick up stuff from the ground correctly until you hurt
Yeah.
yourself. And then they go, yeah, you've been doing that wrong the whole time.
Yeah. Enough bad reps, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk
totally
about
agree.
your networking. We've talked about this, after you graduated, we did some Zoom calls.
Right.
We were kind of had this little mentorship program going on. So I know you joined BNI, and I think you sat in for a couple of Chamber of Commerce meetings as well.
So so just BNI, and then I'm a part of Arizona Entrepreneurs.
Oh, cool.
So just those two.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's crucial to network and just meet other business owners, get advice. I mean, that's the best. Best thing is free
Yeah.
advice, and then thinking about ways you could do win-win situations and help each other really in the end win together. So
Yeah.
There's, I think BNI is set up to where each group, you can only have one person from that industry, correct?
yeah, that's how it's set up.
Did you have a hard time finding a BNI group, or just the first one you tried, they were like, yep, let's go?
So I visited like a couple different groups. The one that resonated with me is BNI Titans is what we're called. And I was really just trying to find a place that's close to Glory Gaines. So,
Right.
if anybody wanted to use my services and I could help get them to their fitness goals, it's close to where we meet. So it wouldn't be out of the way. I wanted it to be convenient for them.
Right.
So, yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, because I know that I've been in several networking groups over the years, but I was pretty sure that BNI required just one person from each industry. So, but I think there's 30 or 40 BNI groups in Phoenix. So,
yeah, last I
there's a
checked,
lot.
there was quite a few.
and so
Yeah.
same thing with the Chamber of Commerce. There's several
Mhm.
from North Scottsdale to Tempe, Glendale. I mean, they're like all over the
Yeah.
place. So
Yeah,
There's a bunch.
I think
Yeah.
there's even like North Phoenix, South, like
right.
there's a bunch of different ones.
But I think it's really important to network and use BNI or Chamber of Commerce,
Yeah.
because I did the Gilbert Chamber of Commerce when we came down and put the school in 4.5 years ago or so, and
Mhm.
it was great to network, but it was also a way to, I didn't know it at the time, but kind of hone your craft when it comes to communications, because I had no
100%.
idea what was when I went there. I had
Mhm.
I guess our mentor with the Chamber of Commerce, and we met up for coffee one day, and she's like, let's go do a Chamber of Commerce together. So I got there. She didn't tell me we were going to do a 30-second commercial. I had no idea that was a thing.
Yeah.
And
How was that the first time?
oh man, well, I went last
Yeah.
because I wasn't a dues paying
Right.
member,
Right.
and everybody else who went first, which meant I was the last person.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to watch everybody do their sales pitch. It's like a unique selling proposition sort of thing.
USP.
Yeah. So I watched everybody go, and I was like, "That's sharp. That's really good." They've done it a bunch of times. I'm like, "That was smooth." It's as if
Yeah.
you were to ask me what I do. That's my
Yeah.
answer. So that's your pitch, your 30-second commercial.
Exactly.
And I got really good at it.
Yeah.
30 seconds is a long time.
It really is.
Once you
Yeah.
get it down, it's like your elevator pitch is like 8 seconds.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's what you want. You want that 8-second, like,
Right.
but then people are like, we want more details. And you're like, oh man, this is going to be a long
Yeah.
30 seconds.
I'm pretty sure I
Yeah.
went over. They actually had a clock.
Right. Yep.
They
They
time
had a
you.
clock, and you're
Yeah.
like, you're trying to beat that ding.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it was a bunch of word vomit because there's so much to say about the school. I don't even we did this not too long ago where
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, we got 30 seconds to do this.
Right.
Or was it
Mhm.
60?
60. We were doing 60
seconds.
seconds. Yeah.
I'm still
Yeah.
like, I've got another 2 minutes left
Yeah.
because the school offers that much, and I don't know how to condense it into
Yeah.
30, 60 seconds.
right.
And that was the difficulty in the beginning. But then I was like, all right, let's cut this out. Let's cut that out. Let's just get to the chase.
Yeah.
We're a
But we
state licensed
offer
vocation.
so much. I mean, it's hard to get it all into 60 seconds.
It's impossible.
Start talking like Eminem, getting it out there as fast as you can.
There you go. That's what we're going to do. We're going to record
Yeah.
Travis doing a rap.
Yeah.
A
seriously.
rap about the school.
Oh man, that'll go viral. I'm so good at that.
Yeah. That'd be awesome.
But it really helped with I feel like I'm confident, but I could always work on that. It just
Everybody can.
So I got a lot of
Yeah.
practice, and every time I went there, I'm like, all right, I got it. I would think about it in between. I was going every Thursday, I think at 11 a.m. if I remember correctly, or 10.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, in between, those Thursdays, I'm thinking about how can I make this sound better? Not actually go to sleep going, all right, let's do your commercial. Okay, I'm going to try to do that next time, and got to the point where it was smooth. But
Yeah.
it was a skill that I didn't really know that I needed help with. And,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and it was a challenge, and it was fun to say it. And I'm like, that sounded amazing. you
Yeah.
know? Instead of the first time where I'm like all over the place. I'm like, well, we're school.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
it's always fun to try to get everybody's attention too, because
Yeah.
most people are like looking down or they're
Yeah.
you know thinking about their own what
Right.
they're going to say when it comes their turn. So you stand. I love that part of networking
Yeah.
because I like to talk and I like the attention.
Yeah.
But I'm always like, all right, so I'm Josh and I'm an alcoholic. I mean, wrong group. Sorry, let's go.
Yeah.
And it kind
Wrong
of gets
group.
everybody's attention. They're like, oh, what's going on?
right.
Yeah.
Well, I think the first time I did my commercial, I was like, it was like the second half of the 30 seconds that I had. I'm like, who here right now has a CPR and AED certification? Like half the room raised their hand. I'm like,
There you go.
all you need is right now is just a shirt that says personal trainer. That's all it's required in the state of Arizona.
It's scary.
Yeah,
That
I'm
is
like,
crazy.
every one of you, and as a matter of fact, by 8 o'clock tonight, you could be certified.
Yep.
They're like, what? I'm like, you don't need much education to call
No.
yourself a trainer. So
To be a good trainer, you do, but not.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I was just trying to differentiate that in 30 seconds, and again,
Right.
that's the biggest part for me in the school is differentiating ourselves from your typical online cert to somebody who's actually
Right.
qualified and knows exactly how to do what's in the book and,
Yeah.
and well beyond, because we go way beyond what a
Well,
book teaches.
And
100%.
it's so good to have Kyle here because I think there's so many people that go through the school and don't use it. You know, like my daughter Emily, she was already a licensed massage therapist, and what she learned in the school going through the National Personal Training Institute was so much knowledge for personal training, but now she doesn't use it. She's doing massage therapy.
Mhm.
You know, she wants to do it, and she still works out, and what she learned just for her workouts alone is so great. But to have someone like Kyle that graduated the same time I did to
Yeah.
go out
Yeah.
and be where he's at today, it's awesome. It's,
Yeah.
you know,
That's why we
Yeah.
exist is for this very reason. We want qualified personal trainers out there that are going to make
100%.
this a career if that's what you want to do. We want to give you guys the building blocks to succeed, not just go, hey, you're done, get out of here.
Yeah.
Good luck. You know,
Exactly.
because we've kept into communication, and that's a thing that we
Mhm.
want to make sure that we do is to maintain connections with our graduates. We're here always for our graduates. We
Right.
even if they want to come back in after they graduate to sit in for a class, they can. They can retake the entire thing for free if they want to. You've already
Yeah.
paid for it once. Come on in. We might put you to work and have you
Right.
help out students.
Yep.
But that's what I did in Portland. Like the
Yeah.
studio, when I became independent, I went to the studio next door to the classroom. And, you know, when I was done at 10, 11 in the morning, sometimes I just walk in, sit down, and listen to them talk, and I would learn more stuff that I, you know,
Yeah.
may have forgotten. So I think
100%.
it's really cool. It's like a community for us. We want to make sure that we're here for you when you have questions instead of just going, I don't know what to do, and then quitting. We want to
Yeah.
make sure that we're here to help you guys, you know, find employment or answer questions on anything, especially business. That's the hard
Right.
thing for a lot of independents is how do I build my brand? You know, we
Right.
already go through business. We talk about, you know, how to incorporate your business, how to get referrals, testimonials, how to grow your books, you know, how to use social media correctly, all these things. But sometimes, like even when I graduated, I was constantly talking to my director. I'm like, hey, man, if it wasn't about a client that I couldn't figure out an issue with, it was about business. So
Yeah.
he was like my Yoda. That's
Yeah,
what I used to call him.
100%.
I'm like, hey, Yoda, I got a question for you.
Master.
And he was amazing at answering all my questions. I mean, there was times where I had clients that we weren't getting the results that I had told them we would. And I'm like,
Right.
this is what I'm doing. And he's like, change this and this. And I'm like, oh, of course. That's what I'm missing is, you know,
Right.
whatever it is. But yeah, I think, you know, the whole reason for our existence is to make successful trainers, because it really is in my opinion, it's one of the best industries you can possibly be in.
100%.
Rewarding at the same time if you're good. You know, it's rewarding to you as well financially.
100%.
And I can't
yeah.
I can't think of another industry where you can help the lives the way that we do. You know, doctors, of course, they can help lives, but I think we're not prescribing pills. We're
100%.
prescribing movement. We're prescribing good habits, you
Yep.
know, nutritional advice.
Yep.
So,
And for me, my motto is be the best version of yourself. I really believe if you put your health and exercise and put fitness and nutrition first, you can become the person you want to be. So I do preach that a lot. So
yeah,
I
that's
think it's
awesome.
So I'm not that familiar with Glory Gains, but is it set up like a normal box gym? Do they provide you clients, or do you get your own clients?
So you get your own clients.
Okay.
You pay rent there.
Oh, okay. So you're paying rent. You're not
yeah.
paying per client or anything like that.
No, so it's a flat rate.
Monthly
and-
fee or something
yeah,
like that.
monthly.
So what do you charge for personal training and for PNF?
So I charge $60 an hour for personal training. For group training, I charge $40 an hour.
Okay.
And then depending on like the size of the group, the packages are a little different. So cheaper, the more people.
More people.
Yeah,
Yep.
the bigger the group. For PNF stretch therapy, I charge $120 an hour.
Wow.
So
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's similar to massage therapy in a sense with the pricing and kind of the same setup where for mobile, especially where you bring your own table, you perform the therapy. So yeah, it's just different, obviously different benefits. Yeah.
And that's about the going rate too.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't think people understand how good they will feel after that.
Right.
And most people
Oh,
are
yeah, for
used
sure.
to just feeling the way they do, and they
Stiff
think that
and-
Yeah.
that's normal until you
Oh,
get on
yeah.
a table and you have somebody professionally stretch you and you walk out going, wow, this
Yeah.
is how I could have felt
Yeah.
a long time
Yeah.
ago.
Like when you bend over, it shouldn't be painful. Like especially when
Yeah.
you're older, like 60s, 70s. Like, you don't want to be in pain. So
Oh no,
take
not
care
at
of
all.
yourself while you're young. Take care of yourself as you age. And if you have more flexibility and mobility, doing daily tasks won't be such a pain, you know?
Right.
Yeah,
So,
Exactly.
yeah.
that's
But
awesome.
yeah, as far as the PNF stretch therapy, I charge $120 an hour, but I do the same thing with the personal training. Is I do packages. So if somebody wants to improve mobility and flexibility long term, or for like a sport or whatever, I do packages. So
Oh, okay.
yeah,
That's
Nice.
cool. So, do you do packages on personal training too? Like, if they pay
Yeah.
6 months in advance or something like that?
yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And then on group training, how are you working the groups? Are they doing each individual thing, or
Yeah.
everybody does the same thing?
So depending on the size of the group, no matter what, the first thing is I want to learn everybody's fitness goals and kind of to see how long they've been working out for. What is their daily regimen? What do they do? Like, what do they work out? Do they work out is the real
Right.
question. So number one is getting their goals, and if they all have really similar goals, then I'll put them through pretty much the same thing. That way
Okay.
they're there to motivate each other and do the same workout together. But if they got like different goals, I'll still do the same movements, like the same target the same muscle groups, but obviously higher weight for somebody that wants to do power or strength, and somebody that
Right.
wants to build muscle more hypertrophy based. So I really like to personalize it for each individual person for the,
So
for the group training.
So some of those people in the group, you haven't worked with them before.
What's that?
Some of the people in the groups, you haven't worked with them before, because my thought on groups would be to, work with someone and then be like, hey, you can also do this group. It'll save you a little bit of money, and
Yeah,
but you just have some that are just fresh clients.
pretty much that so far. I mean,
Okay.
as I expand and grow, then I'll group people together just to
Right.
save me more time in the long run. Like, group people together that I think would be a good match to work together. But as of now, it's just pretty much people that are already coming in as groups
Right.
and just working out with them. So
Very cool.
Yeah.
yeah,
So what's your intake look like? So when you get a new client, you give them a free session, right?
yeah,
Typically about an hour.
yeah.
so?
So an hour session, I like to call or text the week before and just ask about goals. Where do you want to be in a year? Where do you see this long term? And then bring them in for the first session. That way, once I know their goals, that way I can, provide a customized program for them, and bring them in for that first complimentary session. Usually, people love it, see the benefits of it, and want to do it. So
Yeah.
that's kind of how it goes. And then from there, I recommend how many days a week they should see me based on their fitness goals, and I'm just super transparent on what they need to do to get where they need to be. So
Right. Do you give them homework to do on the days that they're not working with you?
yeah, so I give them homework, and especially if they're doing like 2 days a week with me or something like that, and they really need to be doing like 4 days a week, like in general, then I say you should do this type of workout without me, without me
Right.
as a trainer. So
Cool.
yeah.
Are
And
you
it's-
following? Are you following their
Oh, you're good.
nutrition too, or
Yeah,
like,
so
looking
I
at
do
their- what they're-
nutrition. I have a different package if they want to do like nutrition plans, but as far as just the personal training, it's just general nutrition, like macros, protein intake, just basically working with what they already enjoy eating. I think dieting sucks, obviously, if you restrict a bunch of food and just take away everything that they love.
Yeah.
So I think the biggest thing is learning what they enjoy, like not taking away the culinary aspect of food and just replacing with what they like already that's maybe not so healthy with a better version that they'll still enjoy. So that's what I do.
That's super smart.
Yeah.
I think a lot of coaches out there, when they get a new client, they learn what their bad habits are.
Yeah.
You'll look at the list as you're talking about their nutrition.
Yeah.
Say, what's a typical day look like? And somebody says, well, I have like a venti choco maco latte with,
Extra whip.
extra sugar. I'm like,
Yeah.
right. So do you have one of those a day? No, sometimes I have two. Okay. Well, that's the first thing you have in the morning? Yep. What's the next thing you have in the morning? And then they'll say something like maybe some fast food choices
Yeah.
for lunch. And then, their evening looks very similar. And then the end of the night, maybe they have a habit of having a glass or two of wine, or maybe they've got, they're drinking tons of soda throughout the day as well.
Yeah.
Their brain's used to that. And
Yeah.
what a lot of coaches make the mistake of is they try to take that all away
100%.
day one. You're doing all
Yep.
these things wrong. You need to stop doing all these wrong things today if you want to lose weight. That's not that's not sustainable.
Right.
Right.
Their
100%.
brain is addicted to these,
I mean,
these chemicals. So
I don't like to compare the two, but it's kind of similar to like a smoking addiction where you slowly and gradually take
Right.
away cigarettes or slowly get off of it,
yeah.
Yeah.
which is kind of the same in nutrition.
Yeah, you're going to
So,
send your client into shock if you say you can't
Oh my
have you
God.
can't have those 2 glasses of wine a night. You can't have
be
those
shaking.
2 Starbucks drinks. And
You take away my popcorn, I'm gonna be mad.
yeah. So I think for us, it's the smart thing to do is slowly wean them
Yeah.
off some of these things, not permanently. You could say instead of having 2 of those Starbucks drinks, have maybe in the beginning have them both, but instead of having a venti, have the small
Yeah,
one.
Exactly.
So that's going to lower those calories and that sugar intake too.
Right.
Yeah.
And then maybe say, hey, I know you're drinking 2 glasses of wine a night. Maybe make it to 1.5 for a couple weeks
Yeah.
until maybe you
Right.
get down to 1. And maybe 1 is the magic number. But we're looking at, a lot of empty calories coming in here. We've got a lot of food that has no nutritional quality to it. So
Right.
slowly taking away these bad habits until it becomes habit where now they're not, consuming as much of the stuff that's making them where they're at to be where they're at right now.
Right.
So I think that's really smart what you're doing.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. I've heard so many times like, oh, you need to stop doing this right now. Right this second. You can no longer have anything you love ever again. I hope you
Yeah.
like chicken, rice, and broccoli.
Yeah,
or-
that's not
Right.
the way to do it.
yeah. Yeah, they're not
Yeah.
going to comply. It's maybe for a
Yeah.
day or 2, and then they're just going to rebel, and they're going to say, forget this.
Yeah.
Well, and hopefully they start feeling better and realize that they stop drinking soda and now they feel a lot better.
Yeah.
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 So-
Again, if you're used to feeling a certain way, you don't know how good you can feel until
Oh yeah, for sure.
you do.
100%.
And you're,
Yep.
So did you play any sports when you were in school?
So, yes, and I mean, not in high school. So I played sports. I played basketball, football, but to be honest, I enjoyed it. It's great to make friends. I love sports in general, watching them. I even like playing them, but not like professionally or like for my school or anything like that. The biggest thing for me is what I do is I train like an athlete, but I don't want to have the risk of injury during the sport for longevity.
Yeah.
And I'm what, 5'11". I'm not gonna go pro. I gotta be at least 6 foot, like 5. So I know like I can't like make it big. You know what I mean? So I want to train like an athlete, be in the best physical shape that I can be in. But no. So to answer your question, I played football freshman year for a little bit. I just didn't want to get hurt.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
about it.
Well, what got you into this industry?
Yeah. So what started off as an escape turned into my passion, and then eventually my career. So basically, in high school, just day to day going through school, I wasn't the happiest guy. I had trouble making like really genuine connections and good friends. So to be honest, I used it as an escape. I went to the gym. It's the best antidepressant you can have.
Yes.
So I went to the gym 6 days a week. I had no idea what I was doing. Literally no idea. But I knew I wanted to transform into the best version of myself. So I just showed up. I just did random movements. And then over time, I got really passionate about it. And then I took it seriously and actually learned how to do it, like learn the anatomy, learn nutrition, and what to do to reach my goals. And I thought it was really cool that I can turn it into a career and do the same and help other people.
Yeah.
And of
Yeah.
course, getting the certifications through ISSA makes me credible. And then, of course, MPTI just to finish it
Yeah.
off and actually prove to everybody that I'm a genuine, legit trainer. So,
Yeah. Well, you came in with a cert or 2 already, didn't you?
Yes.
When you started school?
Yeah, just the ISSA personal trainer and fitness coach and the nutrition. through
Yeah. So you had
ISSA.
both before you began.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So you already had a pretty decent base of knowledge, especially nutrition.
Yeah.
We teach it. We teach nutrition in the school, hands on. We do make it interactive, where it's not all sitting in your seat learning about your various nutrients or whatever. But for a lot of people, we've had like 12.5 people that have come into the class that already have, say, a NASM certification, but they're like, I don't know anything. I feel like I should have known something after reading this book. And so we get a lot of those.
Yeah.
And I think that's just it's validation that you need a good starting point. You need a good base of education, because the
100%.
confidence is what I think is missing. The lack it's what's missing when you read a book.
Exactly.
It's like it doesn't teach you business It does
Right.
a little bit. There's a couple sections in there to teach you that, but until you have somebody or multiple people, like we've got multiple instructors, we all have different paths. We've all done business differently.
Right.
I didn't do my business exactly the way that my instructor said he did it. I just picked out some things that, okay, these will work for me. I'm going to adopt some of these ideas. And then that's what where networking comes in too. You have other people that have ran businesses for years, and they've done something that worked for them, and maybe that's a way that or something that would work for you, because it's like selling.
Yep.
We have different selling styles, right?
For
Like
sure.
I never, when I went to 24-hour fitness after I graduated this school in Portland, I didn't sell once.
That's crazy.
Well, I think when people hear the word sell, they think of
Yeah.
like, I'm going to go look at a car today.
100%.
And,
That's what people think of.
I just want to look at the price, but then you've got that guy like, hey, do you need help from across the parking lot? Like, oh,
Right.
no, is it too late to get in my car and drive off? I think that's what a lot of people think of when they think of the word sales. And it's not that way. If you're confident and you can help educate somebody without that pressure of sales, I think people are just going to go, okay, I think you're for me. I think you know what you're talking about. And it's already implied. If they're there asking you questions, they probably already want some help. They're just looking for the right person to lead them.
Right. I think the biggest thing is proving to whoever your future client that you know what to do to get them to your goals, making it clear that you have what it takes to show them and give them the tools to succeed. I really think that's important.
Yeah. So I tell the classes quite often when I went to 24, my sales manager at the time, it's a numbers driven business. If you don't meet your quota for at 24 at least for like 3 months in a row, then you're given a warning. And I've seen people, get fired because they weren't meeting their goals.
Right.
But I think what happens in the industry is there's a stigma to anybody who sells anything, no matter what business you're in. It's like I don't know how many calls you get a day, Josh, somebody trying to sell you something, but it gets worse and worse.
Many?
A lot.
It's a ton.
Constantly.
I'm so glad that my phone says scam likely. So I'm like,
Right.
good. I'm not going to answer this. Because before, what was it like before you had that? You answer the phone, you're like, oh, man.
Well,
Another one of these
mine doesn't
guys.
do scam likely.
It doesn't?
Nope.
Doesn't say potential spam or
Nope.
something like that.
Mine just says scam likely, and I listen to it.
I'm just like, I'm not messing with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Screw that.
Yeah, but when it comes to sales, it's if somebody sees that you're confident and you're always there to give them some, like, I would give, if somebody sat down with me for fitness orientation, so you got an hour, this is your time to, if they're already sitting in front of you, it's already implied that they're looking for help. So it's your job to create that relationship or that bond to see if, we're right fit for each other.
Right.
But if you're the salesperson that's like, you need this,
Right.
this,
Yeah.
look at you, all these things.
That'd be
And then,
harsh.
then at the end,
Yeah.
when it comes to the sale and you're like, all right, well, let's get you scheduled. And they're like, well, I'm going to have to think about this. Or I need to ask my spouse.
Right.
Or I don't know if I'm ready yet. My fitness manager said, get 7 no's before you let them go. And I'm like, that is insane. I
That's
would
a
be
lot.
so
Yeah.
angry if I was on the other side.
Right.
So I would get 1 no and I would drop it. I'm like, cool. Well, if you need any help, I'm here to help you. I'll help you as much as I can. And that would be the end of it. I didn't pressure them to give me their card like he wanted me to do.
And I think most people appreciate that.
yeah, well, I think
would
that's
say
why
so.
a lot of people came back, if not days later, weeks or months later. A lot of those people that I had across from me that said no came back. And they're like, hey, I want to talk about training. And I'm like, cool, yeah, let's sit down.
Yeah.
Once you push it to a point where if you push them to 7 no's, at some point you're teetering on, is this guy desperate and needs to
Exactly.
sell to me?
Right.
Or is he just that damn pushy?
Yeah.
So that's where you have to kind of go,
And
all
both
right, I'm
are
gonna
not
step away.
good to have in their
Not-
mind.
not at all, yeah.
Pushy or
Because if they think you're desperate, then they're like, well, I don't want to pay $60 an hour. How about 45?
exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's smart though, just to go that way. Pressuring somebody, it's just going to give them that thought that, hey, this person is, like you said, Josh, potentially desperate for a
Right.
sale. I was just always confident with them. I'm like, look, if you ever need any help, come back. I'll be glad to I'll be happy to help you.
Yeah.
And I think that's the way to go. I know there's a lot of sales managers out there in gyms that would probably shake their head no to this because it's numbers driven. For
Yep.
me, I'm just like, hey, look, either you want help or not. I'm always here. If you don't, of course, I'm not going to, write you plans
Right.
to that.
Right.
But if you need help with a certain movement, I'll be happy to go up there and fix your movement if it's bad.
See, I like the opposite approach. I go up and show someone how to do a movement, and then go, yeah, I'm a personal trainer, but I don't have time to take on any new clients, and then walk away. And they're like, wait a minute, what? No, wait, come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reverse psychology.
Right. Yep.
So how's it been with social media? We talked, at the very beginning, I was telling you, hey, you need to post more. And you were like, oh, I'm not ready yet because you're looking for like high quality production videos. And then you started to do them, and I saw an uptick in both quality and professionalism, and you were educating, which I tell everybody. It's the thing with social media is you don't want to, if you are a coach, your job is to educate, not just show videos of your clients doing certain movements without an explanation as to why they're doing those movements. And that's all you see all across social media, the influencers and all the other people that are in fitness. If you're not a coach, it's totally acceptable. It's totally fine. Here's a window to my life and my clients' lives if you're a trainer. But I think ultimately what people are looking for is an education. So, I mean, if I could go on Instagram right now, it's nothing but people working out.
Yeah.
But for coaches, if that's all they do, then you just look like everybody else that's doing workout videos. I think where it's at is to gain that credibility and that trust is to educate people.
Right.
And I think you've done a few of those recently, and I was just like, when I saw him, like, yes, he's doing it. Amazing.
Yeah.
So how's that been? How's that journey of
I think it's great. I still think I struggle with being like a professionalism, like perfectionist is the word. But I struggle with that a little bit, but the biggest thing is providing value, the biggest thing. So when you're scrolling on Instagram, you see the same thing as everybody else, you're just going to scroll right past it.
Exactly.
So you definitely want to stand out in your videos by the very beginning of the video when they first click it. So it sticks with them. They want to watch it, and then you want to, of course, create value. So they want to trust you as a trainer. So if you provide value and they trust you, it's huge.
I think it's really important if you, especially if you want to be an online trainer. You have to do it. Because people in Omaha or Alaska, they're not going to know anything about you if you don't get on there. But for a lot of people, it's difficult in the beginning to see yourself, hear yourself, and a lot of us are critics, or, big critics of our appearance or voice or whatever, inflections. I know I was. You heard my story about my 30-second commercial for Nike. Took me 3 hours to do a 30-second video bio of myself because I hated everything about it. I'm like, oh, the lighting's bad, or why am I squinting my eyes? Why do I sound like the Cookie Monster? Because I feel like I've got a deep voice. Apparently, it's not that deep. But to me, that's how I hear myself. And it took me 3 hours to do a 30-second commercial.
Yeah, it's definitely a learning curve, especially a learning curve, because once you get the videos going, then it starts to get easier as you keep doing them. But in the beginning, it's like kind of got to figure out the process, figure out what works best for you, and just learn from there. So I always encourage growing and just learning something new every day. So.
Yeah, and they say like making YouTube videos and stuff, you're not good at it until you've made 100. And so once you get past that 100 point, then you start really getting good and really getting honing your style and everything like that. So
it's just all about reps, like anything else. It's practice.
100%.
Hopefully it's not 10,000 hours of practice.
If you're doing that much and you're still not good at it, do something else.
It might be time.
And what most people don't really realize, it is pretty time consuming, especially if you want to get a good video out there. Like, you need to learn how to edit, put the right clips together. It is time consuming, but once you get better at it, you can spare your time accordingly and still produce good content.
There's had a lot of students that just absolutely refuse to do social media. They didn't even have an account, a lot of them, and it's like, I want nothing to do with it. That's not the end of the world, because you can get clients organically locally as well. And we talked about this with Sky.
Even the networking events like we were talking about a little while ago.
Yep, absolutely. It's just getting out there, which is what you're doing with social media too. You're getting out there, but I think practicing communication skills, reaching out to somebody, like all the guest speakers that we have at the school, I've reached out to them all. I'm like, hey, I'm so-and-so. I'd love to talk about this, love to have you maybe come in and teach this subject, because I'm not an expert at everything. I want those who have done it for a long time, and that's all they do. I want them to come in,
Right.
and present their information. Like next Friday, I believe we're gonna have Luis and Renee come in. Well, Renee's a pre-postnatal specialist. Guess what?
Right.
I'm not.
You're definitely not that.
I'm not that.
You've never been pregnant?
No,
Unless you identify
I
as
cannot
that.
relate. I can't relate. And we have women in class, and I feel weird because I have taught it before, and I'm up there like, this is what you need to look out for. And I'm like, the whole time,
Right.
I'm not the authority for this conversation. And, some moms are looking at me going, okay,
Yep.
like it's better to have somebody who's
Absolutely.
who's gone through all 3 trimesters and then postnatal and then work themselves back to strength after they've lost it after having a kid. That's who I want to listen to, is somebody who's done it.
100%.
So
Yeah.
reaching out to them in the beginning, they were working somewhere else that we used to take a field trip to. It was functional fitness. We used to go there, and that's where I met Luis and Renee, and that's where we began to talk. I'm like, hey, let's talk a little bit more about what you do and potentially have you come in, because it's not just about, I don't want it to be all about me. I don't know everything.
Yeah.
I want the specialists to come in and talk about certain topics like pre-postnatal. And then we've got, I think 2 or 3 weeks, we've got one of my friends who owns 365 Gym up in, it's like North Phoenix. I'm drawing a blank on the exact location, but all he does is strength and conditioning. He owns a gym. All he does is strength and conditioning. I know strength and conditioning not as well as he does, though. So I want him to come in and teach it. So to find these people, you just have to reach out. And for some people, it's a little bit difficult, but it's easier to do when you, say, email somebody or send them a letter or send them a text and say, hey, this is who I am. There's not that auditory one-on-one interaction, which for some people is, intimidating. It's they just read a note, a text or an email, and then they reach back out. And you're like, oh, okay. I guess the next step is to talk.
Yeah, exactly.
But the more reps you do, the more comfortable you get with talking with people. And I think that's super important in any walk of life, is to be confident in talking to people, because it's a little bit today. It's a little bit more difficult. I mean, a lot of, not picking on your generation at all, but
Oh, it's true.
it's a lot of texting.
My generation's crazy.
It's a lot of texting, and the communication skills have been lost, I think.
100%.
So
especially through COVID. I mean, I lost junior year completely. Like,
that's right.
It's crazy. All online.
All online. Was that
completely
awesome?
wasted.
Did you learn anything?
Absolutely not. I can't even tell you anything we did, to be honest.
Yeah. Just staring at a screen, just like, ugh.
And you know damn well that none of those kids were actually by the screen,
Right.
me included. But nah.
Like get a paper silhouette of yourself right there, so your teacher thinks you're there, and you're just off playing games.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Or you got your screen set up, but then you got a bigger one set behind it, and you got a Xbox controller over here.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, I'm paying attention.
Yeah.
Playing a game.
I can't imagine. I don't learn well online. That's
Yeah.
why I don't have any certifications that are online certs.
Right.
It's got to be hands off for me, man. That's how I learn.
That's how I learn best. I know a lot of people resonate with that too.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, dude, it's awesome that you came in today and sat in on our podcast, and good to see you doing so well. And,
Appreciate it. Thank you guys.
yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Thanks, Travis. Thank you for believing in me. Thanks for being not only an instructor but a friend. So appreciate that.
It's awesome, man. Well, thanks for being here.
Yeah.
We'll be talking soon, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, again, you can come back to class anytime you want to.
Right.
For sure. Yeah. That's awesome.
So, sweet.
Yeah.
Well, cool.
Thank you
All
for
right.
having me.
Yep.
All right, man. Awesome.